today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 36 of Shop Talk. It's Jennifer.
Harry.
And we're back to recap 412 called The Knock. The episode was evenly split again, and there were some good Chenford crumbs along with Happy Harper, Wopez, Union Rep Nolan, and Gray. We definitely had a good split of storylines and characters this episode. So, and we've got some news to start off with. Do you want to start with the 413 episode description?
Yeah, so it's called Fight or Flight. Officers John Nolan and Lucy Chen must fulfill 3 quests if they want to get a stolen police helicopter back safely from a teenage thief. Meanwhile, officers Nyla Harper and Aaron Thorson must guard a convicted cop killer in the hospital following a prison riot. Guest stars Tree Valentino as Aaron, RJ Smith as James, and Jay Hunter as Officer Gil Webb. So, seems like it's going to be a pretty good episode. I'm glad that Aaron's back as Nyla's rookie again.
Them guarding a convicted cop killer, though, following a prison riot. I feel like that's going to have some, like, chaos that ensues. And I wonder how Happy Harper, that's what I'm dubbing her now, is going to handle that because of her emotions.
I don't know if it's gonna last. That's the thing, is I don't
that might be what like snaps her out of it.
Maybe.
But like James comes back too, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And then Nakia had shared that she was on a podcast with Tokes, who was on last season of The Rookie, and it's called T for Two. And if you guys haven't listened to it, I suggest checking it out. It was, it was a good podcast. They obviously know each other. They've worked with each other. So it felt very like conversational and friendly. And she just talked about, the culture on The Rookie. I believe that she called all of them just like dorks or something. She shared like what she loves about her job. She talked about her set experiences in the past, how she started acting. It was just a really good podcast, and like I learned more about Nakia. So yeah, I would go ahead and check it out. We'll tweet out a link for it as well. So
yeah, and Eric and Rosalind's latest podcast episode dropped today as well. It was absolutely so entertaining as always. So definitely be sure to check it out. Definitely. It was quick, like shorter than their normal episodes, but still, I mean, it's just like free form. Like they didn't have a guest this week, which was interesting. And so it was definitely more like I don't know, just back and forth, and just you got to hear a little bit more of their like banter. So it was fun.
When you listen to their podcast, do you think of like, because they also share the little like snippet videos, do you like picture that too?
I can, just by their tone of voice and just how like, I mean, because Rosalind seems like a talker, and I appreciate that because I am too. And then just sometimes it's like, I mean, but like, I don't know, just sometimes it's like neither can fully understand what the other is saying until it like takes them a minute. It's just very entertaining just to hear them.
I love their dynamic. Like I mean, whether it's on Instagram stories with their travel, issues, or like the podcast recordings, like it's just fun to watch them. So
yeah. I still would like them to release like a full recording on like YouTube or something. That would be like the most viewed thing in the history of the world.
I would love those. Like,
so
that would be the best thing ever. So let's dive right into the episode because it was a long one. Like the severed hand case was long. So but like we're gonna start off with what everyone really just cares to hear about, and like it's basically here for. Like, let's be real. And that is Chenford. Take it away.
Chenford and their double date. So how it like kind of happens is, long story short, Ashley had came up to Lucy and Tim after she got done filling out paperwork and asked him if he had plans tonight because her friend Olive won 4 tickets to a fancy dinner thing, quote unquote, at Osea. And cue Tim's question of what's a fancy dinner thing. And Ashley explains that it's a pop-up on the beach for one night only, and they serve a 12-course fusion menu. Lucy, of course, has to chime in with the control freak in Tim doesn't like to try new things. And I feel like, honestly, like, if Lucy wasn't there and hadn't said that, I don't know if, like, Tim would have gone.
He probably would have made up some excuse to not
Because,
go.
like, after she looked up at him and she was like, I'd be happy to go with you to your dinner thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like he was he was incentivized to only do it to prove Lucy wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, and the way that he called it dinner thing, like, why not just say, I would love to go to dinner with you? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah. Later, when they're back at the station, Ashley calls. This is the sneak peek we saw, and says that Olive canceled on her. And so Tim, of course, being the ever so observant work husband, was like, "Oh well, Lucy's been pining over that place all day, so let's ask her." And
The way that
I
he
just,
like looked at her before he like said her name too, because she was
yeah,
just like walking in front of him.
yeah,
The
and of course,
crumbs.
yeah, she overhears, of course, and is like, "Osea, oh my gosh, yes, please, please!" Like, she was just so excited, and just, I don't know, just like their dynamic being completely opposite, and just like sunshine grumpy, like that
Yes.
dynamic is them in that scene.
Yes.
And Ashley asks if she, being Lucy, has a date to bring. So that's what Tim was doing when he asked Chris if he'd want to go, because Lucy needs a date to a fancy dinner. She adds that it'll be fun, and Chris is like, sure, he's in, just text the address.
I wonder if like Tim would have still like if he would have tracked Chris down somewhere in the district if it
Yeah,
wasn't Tim that
stopped
had
him and
or
be
Chris
like-
had, yeah, that it wasn't Chris who had walked by. You know, like if it was Smitty that walked by, like surely Tim wouldn't have asked him, but maybe, I mean, that could
Oh my
have given
God.
us some really good comedy.
That
But
would have been absolute hilarity. Oh my God.
because like in the beginning of the episode, we had seen Chris and Lucy kind of like flirting in a way.
Mhm.
So I wonder like if Chris or if Tim still would have like tracked Chris down. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, like, both didn't exactly seem thrilled about the idea of Lucy having a date. Cause, like, I noticed when Ashley had mentioned if, like, does Lucy have a date she can bring, Tim's, like, face changed and he kind
Mhm.
of seemed like he, I don't know, just like annoyed by that question or just like, why
Yeah.
ask that? But it's like, you have 4 tickets, dude. You need to fill the other spot. Like,
Right.
anyway. And I don't know, just like, and when he asked Chris, like, called his name or whatever, and Lucy was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, I mean, I'm sure maybe she really does like him, and I mean, because they're cute now. I like them. They're cute.
Yeah.
So she really does seem to like him. So maybe she was just like nervous and like, didn't want that to be how it happened or whatever. But I don't know. They just didn't both seemed like absolutely thrilled about the idea at first.
Yeah.
But the actual date itself, so it was on the beach. Chris told a like food friend of his that he was coming here and couldn't believe that Ashley got tickets. And she reiterated about how her friend won them in a raffle. Tim's first thought, though, was who puts a restaurant on the beach? You're just asking for sand in your food. Ashley's face already was like, dude, please shut up. Like, that's not helpful.
He couldn't just go along with it. Like he kind of pissed me off in this.
he just had to put his 2 cents in to like
Yeah.
everything.
Well, and it's
Um,
like, okay, she won the ticket. So it's not like you're paying for the date here. Like, can you just like stop and just enjoy it?
oh, true.
You know? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I just got annoyed with him in this double date stuff because I was like, he's complaining about everything, just finding a reason to complain.
Yeah. Um, and then his next question when their first course comes is, was any of that English? Like, I mean, I'm the same though because I am the pickiest eater. Like any my sister, who's the opposite of me in every way, she would love this. A 12-course meal, sign her up. She's there. She would pay all the money for it in the world and try everything. I would be sitting there like I don't know what any of that is. Like I literally looked things up to make sure
Yeah.
like that the um Inaki is a type of mushroom. So, and I hate mushrooms, so I would not have eaten it either. Um,
Yeah.
so I can't exactly blame him for that, but just the fact that Lucy like took it off his plate, that was so cute. Like,
Yeah.
oh
Such
goodness.
a wife move. Like,
Yeah,
that's not even like girlfriend stuff at this point. Like, that's
no,
wife
it's
moves.
not. And just like Ashley's face, like watching it happen was so like meme worthy.
Uh-huh.
Like, Helena Madsen just like killed it with the like facial expressions, like reacting to these scenes.
Well, and the way that Tim like sat back in the chair, like, I don't want it, I don't want it. I was like, oh my God, the man is like low-key freaking out because there's a mushroom on his plate.
Mhm. Um, yeah, and so Ashley apologized for not knowing he doesn't like mushrooms, and he's like, "It's okay." Like he was very that was a soft moment. Like he was just like, "Oh no, it's okay." Like that was good. He kind of redeemed himself a little bit.
It was like one of the few times that he talked to her too.
Yeah. Chris interjecting with, "I'm not a very adventurous eater either, but one time he ate curry goat in Jamaica." Um, which then leads to Tim's joking question of, was his name Gerald? And Lucy is semi embarrassed, like, oh my god, shut up. And just like, but Tim's obviously not gonna shut up because he thinks it's like the funniest thing in the
And this
history
is
of the
where
world or
Chris's
something.
and this is where Chris's look comes in, and he's just like, what is going on between these two?
Mhm. Yeah. hmm Um, and they tell a story about how they had a 211 at a petting zoo and a goat managed to get into their shop. Um, the Lucy had the windows down, and who knew goats could jump? She like tacks on as Tim is relaying all this to Ashley and Chris, and the goat sits in Lucy's seat and wouldn't get out even after she spent 5 minutes making goat noises at it. So, of course, Tim called her the goat whisperer for all of last February, and they finally called animal control and figured it out and everything. But it was just so funny, according to Tim, that he just like had to tell this story because even Lucy was like, "Why? Like why? Like
Yeah.
why are you doing this?" Um, and just like cue the awkward silence. Like if there was a time to use the crickets, it's there. Honestly,
Um, I also am bummed that we never got to see like that scene because I would have paid good money
yeah.
for it. But our friend M on Twitter, she did like sketch out what she thought the scene could be, and it is exactly what I thought it was like.
And it's also Chenford approved because both
Yes.
Eric and Melissa like quote
Yes.
tweeted it, and it was so funny. So
We'll reshare it because it was just too good. It's too good. It looks like it's like a comic strip.
yeah.
So yeah.
Very much like a little storyboard and
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, I wish I could draw. That's why I write. I can't. I'm not an artist in the slightest. So, yeah, the next time, well, it like cuts away from them, comes back. This is where I literally thought that like Chris and Ashley had left because of how the camera was turned on to just Tim and Lucy. So props to the cinematography department there. That was clever.
I mean, at this point, they might as well have just left. Like, Tim
They
and
were
Lucy were
third and
pretty
fourth
much just like,
wheeling.
yeah, Tim and Lucy were pretty much just like ignoring them. Lucy
Yeah.
should have switched places with Ashley, and then it wouldn't have been so awkward. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
hmm
like position wise. So,
Yeah. But I'm sure they did that so they could get the camera like
mhm.
to see both Ashley and Chris's reactions, which were absolutely priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now they're talking about, I'm assuming they're talking about the severed hand case from this episode. I don't know though, because because Lucy's arguing that experimenting on the dead is like an important tool in the medical field, and Tim's like, no, making people into cyborgs is how the world's gonna end. Um, and Ashley's interjecting with, so you didn't volunteer to be an organ donor when you die. And like Melissa just like delivered this line so well. She's like, Tim, no, he wants to be cremated and spread over Dodger Field.
Yeah.
Like it was so good. Because Tim backtracked with he was joking when he said that. Um, his ashes would screw up the pH levels in the grass.
Mhm.
And apparently he actually called Nast. And God bless Chris for trying again.
I like
I have
wheezed
to
laughed at
applaud.
this.
It was, oh my God, just like it was like sitcom worthy. Like it's like
Oh
one of
yeah.
those moments. Like he's just like, I like the Dodgers. And Tim's face, oh God, it wasn't like a micro expression though. It was like a full on like awkward half smile, like,
It was
okay,
almost
and
like the emoji that like is, kind of the wide eyes and like straight mouth and then blush. It was
mm-hmm.
just like, okay, what do I do with that? Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's just like good for
He
you.
just kind
It's
of like
like,
nodded.
yeah, it was so awkward. And like I didn't catch it until I rewatched it to do this outline, but Chris was like, yeah, like right after he said it. Because no one said anything. Literally, no one said a thing.
I mean, you would have thought that Ashley would have been like, I'm gonna make this even less awkward and try and like butt in here. But like
She wasn't
no.
either.
I wonder
So
how much she knew of Chris before like she went on this date. Because it
yeah.
had to have been awkward for her to like meet him.
hmm Yeah.
But
But then their dessert comes over. Um and it sits down in front of them. Um and things unfortunately get a little bit worse when Tim's like, this is a joke, right? People don't actually enjoy eating this food, do they? Poor Ashley is upset. Tim at least knew that he had upset her and tries to apologize. But she excused herself to go to the restroom, and that's the end of their date. At least what we saw of it on screen. I mean, I'm not I would not have eaten the dessert, but that's just because I don't like anything with coconut in it, nor am I a
yeah.
huge fan of like jalapeno.
Yeah,
So
no.
yeah. Props to Lucy for like just popping the whole thing in like in one go though. Cause like
Yeah.
emulsions are like they're cool to look at, but I can't handle them. They're tricky to make too, but anyway.
Yeah.
Um yeah, but it was just like it was awkward and just like I did feel bad for Ashley.
Yeah.
Because like she wanted to try something new. And like yeah, it really is like oh my God. Sorry, I'm just like realizing like literally Ashley is like my sister and I am Tim in that scenario because I am not adventurous in the slightest when it comes to food. My sister is always like wanting to go to different things like restaurants and stuff and do all these things like oh my goodness.
See, like, it just annoyed me because it's something that she wanted to do. And like, okay,
Yeah.
you're in a relationship. Two, you aren't paying for this. Like, you won the tickets. Not even you. Her friend won the tickets and gave them to
True.
you. Like, it's not like you're having to pay for it. If you don't like something that's put on the plate, then just don't eat it. Like, you don't need to have like a line for everything that comes like onto the table.
Yeah.
And like, also, who doesn't love a beach date? Like, yeah, okay, it's romantic. I mean, maybe not with your partner there, but like,
Yeah.
it's like your work partner.
Yeah. Well, I feel like because Tim had already mentioned his like aversion to water
Hmm.
earlier in the episode, so I don't know if like he was already not comfortable with the environment that they were in, and so that was
Yeah,
already he was already like, I'd rather not be here. Maybe if we were in an actual like restaurant.
right. Like the entire date just like took him out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't really think that counts as Lucy's whole bet scenario, though, of like him
Mhm.
doing something completely outside of his comfort zone, because
No,
she didn't actually choose it. He invited her. So,
yeah.
um, yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I also think that like Ashley, she said that she like, knew like after the date, she was like, I understand you just don't want to be out of your comfort zone and stuff, but I don't know. It was just odd. It
Hmm.
started as a Chenford double date, but then it pretty much just ended as a Chenford date. So yeah,
Hmm.
pretty
Yep.
much.
Yeah. Well, as close to one as we would like get
Yeah.
for
That'll
now.
probably be the only one that we get for like the next like 2 seasons. So yeah.
Rude.
I mean, I didn't think that like her knowing Lucy knowing that like he doesn't like mushrooms and stuff. Like, I didn't think that that was like too odd because I mean, you figure they probably have lunch and stuff together. Like, he's probably came across a mushroom like on a burger or something,
See, I
you
wasn't
know?
thinking that though, because I kind of forgot that they're on patrol together and stuff again.
Yeah.
So,
Well, even like when she was a rookie, like she probably picked
mhm,
up little
true.
quirks and stuff of his, and so did he, to where
True.
she was like making that a mental note. Like, if I ever order him something, because he's not here, like he doesn't want mushrooms or whatever on it. So,
True.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just liked it. I liked seeing their dynamic like outside of work.
Hmm. Yep. So the end for them. Um, Chris stops Lucy at the end of the day and said he wasn't really feeling last night. This is where I thought they were heading for a like thanks but no thanks scenario. Like he didn't want to
Hmm.
do it again. But Lucy apologized, said she and Tim have a shorthand since they spend so much time together on the job. I kind of heard a slight pause before he said on the job. Like, I don't know if I'm just like imagining it or
Yeah.
what, but I feel like the like her saying on the job was kind of the same as Tim bringing up that he's her sergeant and she's not his partner kind of thing, just like reiterating how they are and where this relationship like happens for them. But anyway, so Tim, or sorry, not Tim. We're talking about Chris and Lucy. Goodness. Um, Chris just thought that their first date shouldn't have been a double date. Lucy asked for a do-over, and Chris was like hoping she'd say that. While his wallet's not up to Osea, Lucy doesn't really care about that. Asks him what his favorite restaurant is. Chris says Pink's, like Pink's hot dogs. And Lucy loves that, so that's where they go, like right then. Pink's is really good. I went there when I went to LA. It is like it's like world famous hot dogs, like
Yeah.
so good. Um, although you know what I'm thinking of though is like because like Lucy gets like veggie burgers though, right? But she'll like but she's never. It's never been said that she's like vegetarian though,
No.
right? Okay.
No.
Fair.
Um, I agree with Chris. Like, their first date shouldn't have been a double date. But like, was it ever mentioned that it was like a date for them, or was it just like, oh, you're just like hanging out with, like you're
Hmm.
just kind of filling in a spot. Like
Yeah,
did
I don't
he
know.
just kind of jump the gun and think like, oh,
Maybe.
this is a date? And that kind of like threw her off. And then she was like, you know what though? Like, I'm cool if it's a date.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm thinking of How I Met Your Father because I like watched that this weekend.
Oh, good
And the
lord.
guy thought that like the setup that they were doing, it's like a group was like supposed to be a date for him and the main character. And it wasn't. And so then he like felt all awkward. So that's why I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe, Chris like thought it was a date and then it wasn't. So yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, you
Yeah.
should watch How I Met Your Father, just as a side note. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's where people on Twitter were calling them Chris Chen. I'm not sure if that's like their official like ship name. But for the sake of this, that's what I'm going to call them right now. So that's the end scene for
Yeah.
them.
It's just easier than Chenford 2.0 or something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Or like San I saw someone else say San Chen, which
Ooh.
could kind of work. I'm not minding that.
Yeah.
Um, but so Tim and Ashley are outside talking as well. He apologized for his attitude over trying something new with her. Ashley was like, "You were acting like you were doing me a favor," and then he spent the whole night talking at Lucy, and which didn't feel very good. Um, like Jennifer had mentioned earlier, like Tim's very much like in his comfort zone because every job he's had is unpredictable. So when he's off the clock, he wants that comfort. Um,
Did you start thinking about what other jobs he could have had that are like that when he said that?
I just flashed back to the army because I figured he went from the army into being a cop.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
thought that too. And then I was like, I mean, could he have had other jobs that were unpredictable? I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
don't
what
know.
could be more unpredictable than like being a cop or in the army though. So,
Yeah. Um, and like I'd mentioned earlier, Ashley was like, life can't be all about Rams games and talking, like about the job with his partner. And Tim's like, I'm her sergeant. She's not my partner. The point is though that Ashley deserves someone who tries, and Tim wants to be that for her, and she wants that too. So he says that they'll get on the freeway and she'll take him to do anything she wants. He'll even call in sick tomorrow if she wants him to. Um, my mind automatically went to them like going night swimming or something. I don't know why. Maybe just because of Tim's like I said, aversion to water. Like I don't know if she would like if they would like hang out at the beach. I don't know.
oh my God, that would really be taking him out of his comfort zone. He would hate every minute of it. Being
Yeah.
at
So
night
I'm
and
not
yeah.
really sure if that would be what they would do. I kind of wish we would have seen and like when Lucy and Chris leave or Tim and Ashley, like what their second dates ended up being like. Um but yeah, no breakups happen. I seriously thought one of them was gonna be done by the
I'm
time.
I'm interested to see how Tim and Ashley like compromise and what they do because she seemed like hesitant of Kojo a few episodes ago. So it's like,
Mhm,
how willing are they to each like make it work, I
true.
don't know. But like Christian, like I'm here for it. I was kind of hoping that like Tim would like walk out after like he saw like Chris and Lucy walk away and just kind of have
Yeah.
like a dejected face.
Mhm.
But that didn't happen. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, we got Chenford crumbs, so that's something.
Mhm.
We got it throughout the episode because, like, honestly, they don't know personal space. Tim and Lucy do
They
not know
really
personal
don't.
space.
No,
And, like,
not
I
at all.
get it. There were points during the severed hand call where, like, they had to be, like, close. sharing body cam footage or like, him looking at her laptop. But I was like, okay, you guys are like close here.
Yeah, but I mean, I did a parallel on my Twitter page of them looking at body cam footage in 109 and they still weren't standing that close. So
Yeah.
they've gotten closer.
I saw people being like, like quoting Tim from like, early season 4. And he's like, I mean, people might think that we're like, something else. And they were just like, yeah, but you guys keep doing that. Like, okay. So it was just funny.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep. Be louder, please.
Hmm.
Yeah. So next we have the severed hand call. And this was like the big overarching storyline of the episode. And it was a lot. So we open the episode and Tim and Lucy get a call on the beach. And Tim's just like, yeah, this isn't a problem for me. Like I don't, need to like go into the ocean. We find out that he doesn't hate the beach. He's just not a fan of it. So Lucy, of course, like goes all psychologist on him, saying that, psychology speaking, the fear of water equates to fear of not being in complete control of your environment, which is also on brand for him. And I wonder if some of that fear of not being in complete control of your environment comes from his childhood too.
Probably.
I mean, it just kind of makes sense, I guess.
I mean, that is a psychological,
Yeah,
like, not parallel, but like connection that can be drawn.
right. So then they run into Ashley, who's like, I didn't expect for them to send their best and hottest. And she like looks at Tim and they like, kind of flirt through each other's eyes. Um, and I'm just like, I didn't need to hear her saying hottest and directing it towards Tim, but like also she's not wrong. So, like I'm okay with that. Um, and like as she's taking them to the crime scene, Tim's just like, "Did you hear her say the hottest?" Like he was boasting about it. I'm like, "Oh my god, please!" Like, is your ego any bigger? Um, so then they walk up to a body that was like washed up on shore an hour ago. And, Ashley just says like a couple of kids found it. And, Tim's just like, see, that's why I don't swim in the ocean because it's a dumping ground for sewage, narcotics, and human remains. I mean, ew, but okay. I guess him being a cop, like, it's definitely jaded his outlook on things for sure.
True.
So then like they're back at the district, Lucy's filling out paperwork, and Chris comes up and he's just like, I heard about the hand and do you have any theories? And she kind of like hesitates for a minute and she's like, I have a couple, and then just goes all into her true crime self. Like I love that for her. She just feels comfortable around him, even though last episode she was like pointing her finger and like yelling at him. But she thought at first maybe human trafficking or the way that the boat capsized, like severed the arm. And then she realized that the way that the hand was severed spoke more to some type of torture. So then like she kind of realizes that she's like went all like true crime fangirl. And so she's just like, I'm sorry, like I watch a lot of true crime. And Chris replies with the mention that he does too. Her little smile here was so cute. She was kind of like, oh, he's like me.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's thinking it's more like a gone girl, gone wrong scenario. He had a few lines in this episode where like it would be a tongue twister.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a not a very adventurous eater either, and then like
Yeah, did
gone
you hear
girl,
me
gone
trip
wrong.
up over it? My God.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, kudos to him. So then Lucy's just like, maybe she was trying to fake drowning, but got caught in the boat propeller. And they basically go all fangirlish on this, like theorizing. I mean, that's me when it comes to a TV show, so I don't blame them.
And I mean, I watch a lot of true crime, so I was like right there with him. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, I can see it.
yeah. So then we see Chris, oh my God, Tim is questioning Devin Swain, who is like the CEO of Man-Made Labs. And he's asking him about a break-in that happened at around 2 a.m. So I don't know. This like felt like it was kind of just thrown in because we didn't know where the arm came from. Like, we hadn't seen a call about the break-in or anything. But then
Yeah.
Tim asks, what was taken, and Swain's like, I can't say because then I'd be revealing man-made labs trade secrets. And the company works to stay at the forefront of technological advancement. And so Tim's just like, you know, well, like he's fine just trying to find out like who was working at that time. But Devin's like, I'll have to check with my lawyers on that. And so then Tim's like, fine, can I at least see where the burglary happened? That way, TID can like dust for prints and stuff. And he's stonewalled again. So then Tim's like, well, we can't do our job without access. So why were we called? And Swain's just like, we just need a case number for insurance purposes. So Angela comes in and Swain basically repeats everything. And you could kind of see her face is just like annoyed. Like, why am I here? Um, so then Tim just asks her like how they should handle it. And she says, there's not much we can do, just write it up and send over the case number. So then we jump over to Nyla and John. They enter the trauma bay in the hospital, and the doctor says, they did everything that they could, but this guy bled out because, he ultimately bled out. He had lost a lot of blood before he came in. So she pulls back the sheet, and we see the arm without a hand. So it's not totally known if the hand is the one that was like, washed up on shore or what. So Angela then like enters the interrogation room. This storyline was just like all over. Like there were different characters and it was just like, okay, there wasn't really like clear transitions.
Swain's lawyer confused the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was for a minute I was like, have we seen this guy before?
Yeah.
But maybe not. I don't know, I was kind of confused.
He just like reminded me of Briggs, the union president that we saw earlier in John's
Yes.
storyline, and I was like, why is he there? That has nothing. I was like, that is not the same guy. I need to wake up.
They kind of looked familiar and I was like,
Like, good
okay.
lord.
So then Angela, enters the interrogation room and, Swain's there with his lawyer. And they're like, why is he being questioned? You can't even do your job. He's a busy CEO. And so, she's like, well, he can't answer our question. He can't, like help us really. But maybe he might want to reconsider because one of his employees turned up dead. So she says that someone cut off his hand to get past the palm scanners to rob the office. And the suspect who did it left him for dead, but he managed to somehow get himself to the hospital 24 hours later. And so then Swain's like, I didn't have anything to do with it, but there's no way that he wasn't aware of Kilkea, who like palmed his way into the office. So then Angela shares that according to Kilkea's neighbors, two security officers from the company showed up at the door like right after the robbery. And so then Angela, has also looked into the business and how high proprietary it is. And, according to the website, like they're the pioneering force in biotechnological like engineering. So she's like, what are you making over there? And he just responds with widgets. So she's like, well, unless you answer my question, I will freeze and hold your company until we can obtain a search warrant. And the lawyer's just like, you're not going to get to do that. And, she just like reiterates that she's in charge because it's her crime scene and like it's her discretion on how to process it. I mean, the BDE and the HVIC energy in this woman is amazing. I love it. So then she says, like she can help Swain out. Like he created the fastest, smallest microchip in the world, and it's about to go into the market. And he's just like, how did you get all of that information? And she pulls out her badge and she's like, I want to know what the chips are used for. So then he like finally, spills, and the chips are used to bridge the gap between technology and biology. But that's all that he's gonna say. So when asked if he can think of anyone who would cut off a hand to steal the tech, he gives a name, which is Chester Frey. And Swain's like, I fired him about 6 months ago for performing experiments offsite and doing research that the company had never approved of. But Frey had called Swain last week and was insisting that he was close to a breakthrough and he just wanted access to the lab. So then Angela calls Nyla and John and, tells them that they've ID on the hand thief murder suspect. The house is 5 blocks from their location, and she's sending additional units to the location. So then Nyla responds back to Angela and says, thank you so much for calling. Her pregnancy hormones, like the way that she said this, was hilarious. I just love this side of her.
Yeah.
Can you take over from here?
Yeah. So John and Nyla enter Frey's house. It's dark and cold inside. Nyla sees remnants of the things that he's worked on. They hear a knocking and enter a back room of the house. And that's where they find a severed forearm on the table that's making the knocking sound like it's moving on its own. So TID comes and gathers the evidence. They're even taking pictures as the arm is still moving. Lucy's just like, I can't stop staring. Like, she's so intrigued. Nyla also can't stop staring though, like saying that the human body is truly a miracle. Like, she's so positive about it, and it's, the pregnancy hormones. And yeah, even Tim's like turns to Nolan and's like, is she okay? Pregnancy hormones. Cool. Like, I loved the Brolin bromance moment that we got there when
Yes.
Tim asked that question to John. And so they walk away to see if there's any sign of their Dr. Frankenstein.
I love how they called him Dr. Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's literally what had happened.
Yeah.
So then they're hoping to learn what like scientific breakthrough he thinks he's close to. And Angela comes in and gives a brief, and basically just says Chester cut off Kilkay's hand. Now there's a severed arm in which is Chester's house. And there's 2 victims, but there's more really because Nolan and Harper found a freezer with 8 more arms inside. And so Angela's like, well, is that 4 more victims or 8? And Tim's just like, I think there's 6, 4 right arms and 2 lefts. Yeah, but like it could be a left arm and a right arm from one person. Like the math here, I was just like, I'm not even gonna try and do this math because no. And so then the ME thinks that they have removed, that they were removed post-mortem, because 2 had clear signs of decomposition. I mean, I would hope that they were removed post-mortem and not like, while the victim was still lucid. So then, Angela wants TID to get a rush order on the friends because it might tell them like who their victims are. They might be able to tell like where he gets the victims from and how he targets them. So then the lawyer appears again and he's like, I want to get into the house and get the technology that was stolen back. And Angela's like, that's not going to happen. So, I mean, this woman just never stops being a baddie. Like between her and then Nyla, we were just like blessed with their energy this episode.
Yeah.
And then Lucy wants to look at Chester's computer after TID is done processing it. And she's like, I want to try and get into his head. And she asks him if he thinks that Wopez will be up for it. And so then he's like, it doesn't hurt to ask. So the next time we see her, she's watching a video of Chester. And I was surprised that she was doing it on her personal computer. I was like, I'm surprised that they would let that happen. But Tim walks in and, she says that she's been scrubbing through Chester's video journals and she tries not to use the word crazy, but Tim just reiterates what he's done. and says he's crazy. Like, there's no other word to describe it. So then she says that he shot the next video the day before he cut off Kilkea's hand and broke into man-made labs. So then, like she shows Tim the last video entry from the day before. And he is like Frankenstein. Like when the hand's knocking against the table, he's like, it's alive. But there's nothing in the videos that can lead them to where he's hiding, unfortunately. So then, the next time we go back to the case, Angela meets up with Chenford, and she says that they have 3 hits on the arms found in Chester's place. And they were from unclaimed people whose bodies had been in storage in the county morgue. So then Tim's just like, it makes sense. He explains it to Lucy and says, like, it's bodies that no one's gonna miss. So like, it makes sense to grab those. I mean, yes, like if they've been in the morgue for, years and like they're unclaimed, like no one will miss them, but also like it's someone's brother or sister or daughter or whatever. So, and then Tim explains that the morgue holds on to body remains for 3 years and then they're buried in a pauper's grave. And Lucy's just like, that's so sad. Like her tender heart just feels everything and I love it. And so then they say that Chester doesn't have a connection to the morgue, but it's possible that he found an employee who was willing to sell him, bodies. So then they go to the morgue. The desk attendant, which I'm assuming is also the security guard, is missing and they find blood on the ground. So then they like walk through the morgue, like the hallways, and like Tim calls for backup. They find blood on the walls, like bloody handprints. And they find that security officer is dead. So then they also hear Chester with hostages, and Tim takes off. They're so smart in this, but also like they have to be resourceful. Tim takes off his body camera and sneaks it into the room using his baton to like move it. And then he opens up the app on his phone, which you can like see. I noticed you can see the Bluetooth signals like in range for the body cams, and Lucy's came up like first, and I just loved it. There was just a little crumb. And so then like he pushes the body camera in more, trying to get a good visual of him. And he shows the live footage of Lucy, the live footage to Lucy, and asks what their options are. And like she gives her ideas. They work together to come up with a game plan, which is to ultimately shut off the lights. Tim's gonna flash a light in there, like stunning his eyes almost. And Chester starts shooting, and then Lucy sneaks in and she like tases him. And then Tim just backs up and backs her up, and then he goes over to arrest him. So that's kind of the end of that case. We never like saw like a team meeting about it, like to start it off with, like to end it, nothing like that. So it was definitely interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the long case of the episode.
So for Gray, he meets a sergeant from Italy named Romeo Cabarelli, who's investigating a fugitive named Kai Zullo. He murdered a woman in a home invasion in Rome and made off with her diamonds. He fled to LA from Italy until he could get goodness, I'm sorry guys. Until he could get to South America. They go to meet Gray's CI named Flex and chat him up for a minute, and he says he'll do his best to get them like information on where Kai is hiding, and then they all split off. They didn't get anything new that night, but tomorrow's another day, so they'll try again. They chat for a bit, and Cabarelli offers for Gray to go to Rome. And he'll like be a guest of his. And Gray seems into that idea because Luna's been on him to travel more. and they're just like chatting back and forth. Gray reminds Cabarelli of a lieutenant he used to know, Santo, I think, who died in the line of duty in Cabarelli's arms. Gray knows how that is. Like this job can be the worst thing, it can be the best thing. I don't know why I automatically thought of Anderson, even though she technically died in like John's arms. I mean,
Yeah.
she was already dead.
See, I thought of Jackson, and
Mhm.
then the guy, because it was in what, like season 1 or 2 that we saw Angela and Gray like driving out to the like
Oh, the one where
the
they went to
case.
go and testify
Yeah.
at that parole hearing.
So I
Yeah.
thought of those two versus Anderson. I don't know
True.
why. I guess
I
because I felt like they might have affected Gray a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I just kind of thought since like wait, is lieutenant under or over? It's no, it's captain, lieutenant,
Sergeant.
sergeant, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's just where like my mind was at, because like if Cabarelli was a sergeant too, I just kind of thought like, I don't know, like commanding officer. I don't know. Um but anyway, their somewhat morbid conversation is interrupted. Flex got word that Kai's gonna meet a diamond broker tonight, and Romeo's like, "Oh, I can do it. It's fine." But Wade already told the station that he extended his shift, so he's good to go too. Um, Cabarelli feels bad for making Gray waste his night. Um, Gray's kind of like wondering. He's starting to feel like he's trying to get rid of him. Um, but Romeo's like, no, 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 it's just not good to work all the time. So he spots Zulo. He takes off after him, shooting his weapon, but he lost him. Gray's like running behind, calling for backup, and asks what the hell like happened. Romeo said that he had a gun and would have killed him if he didn't shoot. I mean, oh my gosh, just like poor Gray. Like
Yeah.
he Romeo did not give him a chance to like do anything about it, and just like, I mean, I'd be suspicious too.
Yeah.
Gray talks to Nyla and John the next day and tells them about Cabarelli. Gray didn't get a good look at his body cam footage to see if there's any truth to the fact or to the statement of Kai having a gun. Cabarelli is currently under investigation in Italy for misconduct, apparently. So they need to find Kai before Romeo does. They know that Kai needs to lay low and he can't use credit cards, so Gray, Nyla, and John start checking motels and like canvassing to see which one would take cash. John put out feelers to the union chat room. I really did not expect that to be a thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Like an
I mean,
LAPD union chat room.
well, in a chat room in 2022, I mean, is it like a Slack channel? Because like that's the only
Maybe.
chat room that I can think of.
Maybe. And they have informants at 64 out of the 74 no-tell motels. And of those, one of them has a possible Kai Zulo sighting. So they should, as John says, get into their civvies and stick it out. Nyla's just like, her crying was so hilarious. It absolutely killed me. Makia's uncanny ability to cry on cue is unmatched.
And this
Oh
was
my
like the
god.
second time because she had even told Angela, she was like, "Thank you so much for calling." And like
Yeah.
it was kind of like her second time to like get emotional like that. And oh my god, it was amazing.
Yeah. And if you guys have like heard Makia do like interviews and stuff, like her voice is naturally higher,
Yeah.
more like that. And so it's just so funny to like hear her talk normally. Because she's just like, God, I just love this job so much. And like she's still driving, doesn't turn to John when she says this, but John's just like, maybe I should drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Like
because she's just kind of like tearing up.
yeah, like she just, oh my God, just could not like stuff the waterworks.
And it's so funny because this is not like Nyla, right?
No,
So
it's
you know it's the
not.
hormones. And it's not like Angela was like this either. So it's just so
No,
good.
it's so funny. So Gray talks to Romeo in the break room saying how he has a history with Kai. Kind of brushes it off though and like just says that it's because he's a repeat offender, and that still doesn't really throw Gray off though. He's suspicious. He states that there's something about the case that Romeo's not telling him. It seems personal. And he's like, well, all of my cases are personal, are yours not? Um, that's when Nolan called and says that they've got eyes on Kai and asks if they should arrest them now. But Gray has a better idea. So cut over. Their plan is to have Cavarelli post up in the alley in case Kai escapes. Um, the whole plan is that they're pretending to have Kai in room 13 because they know that Romeo's gonna move in and shoot him, like instead of just waiting for him to come out. Um, Cavarelli is like climbing in through the window, shoots into the shower. The shower is actually empty. It's just the Italian music was playing to throw him off. So they catch him in the act and arrest him as well because they being Harper and Nolan had arrested Kai 20 minutes ago. And he confessed to working with Romeo back in Italy. But when he killed the homeowner, he had to flee to America, and Cavarelli worried that Kai would flip on him. So he came to the US to kill him. Again, Nyla's line of just, but what you didn't foresee was being paired with the best cop in the city who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And Gray just like did not even give her a second before he's like, seriously, how much longer are you going to be like this? Like, he was so exasperated. It was absolutely fantastic. Like, that was probably like just my favorite like line that I've ever heard from him in a while. Just how he delivered it, and just I need more Richard. Like, it was
More
just the funniest thing
more
ever.
Nyla and Gray scenes, like during all of
Yeah.
this, please.
Yeah. Oh my
What
goodness.
what I wonder is, was she like this when she was pregnant with Lila? And is this just like a first trimester thing, or is it like a full like all pregnancy thing?
Oh God. Wouldn't
Because if
that
it
be
is, like, oh
interesting?
my god, I'm so here for it.
Yeah. Well, because it like kind of reminded me, like, remember when Talia was like trying to be positive for like that one episode,
Yes.
and everyone was like, "Is she okay?"
Yeah.
It's like the same thing, but obviously Talia was not pregnant, but just like it,
Right.
just that's what it reminded me of because everyone's like, "Why is
Well,
Nyla like this?
and
What is
Talia
going
was
on?"
trying. Like
Yeah.
Nyla doesn't even seem like she's having to try. Like it's just coming out.
Yeah, it's just happening.
Yeah.
So, the end scene is actually I kind of was surprised it didn't feature like Nolan too, but it was nice that it was just Gray and Harper. Romeo's on his way to the towers, and Kai's on his way back to Italy with two U.S. Marshals. Um, and Gray's just kind of bummed out because he kind of liked working with Cabarelli, but now it was like you liked who he was pretending to be. Um,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, and tells her that she did good work. And and he'll see her tomorrow, and she's like, can't wait, and then just like walks out, and just she's so cheery,
It's
like
just like a
so
complete
cheery.
180. Like it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so great.
I loved it. Um yeah, so then like on the other family side, kind of, yeah. we had Angela and Wesley like looking into preschools for Jack. And at first it was like, did we do a time jump? Like this, the last time we heard about him, he was like a baby. So
Yeah.
what the heck? But then it turns out that they're looking into like prestigious preschools. And like the preschool list, like the wait list is long. So they're doing Zoom interviews and found out that this preschool called Franklin Crest offers French and Mandarin. Um, and Wesley's just like, Jack will be 3 when he starts. Like that just sounds like a lot for a 3-year-old. And Angela's like, I think it sounds amazing though, because my preschool was my aunt's apartment with 7 of my cousins. And so then the school dean, is just like, it's a good idea to nurture your child's mind, like between 3 to 5, and it sets them up for a successful school career because Franklin Crest is the Harvard of preschools. Um, so Wesley's just like, he just lays on the thick questions and he's like, well, what about keeping the kids from becoming overprivileged monsters? And then Angela's just, like, yeah, no, we're talking about this right now. And so she mutes the computer, claiming technical difficulties, and Wesley's just like, I went to schools like Franklin Crest for most of my life, and the kids were awful, entitled, like, just horrible. And Angela's just like, well, they were also rich and successful. So what do you want for our child? And the school dean, just says that like 80% of their kids attend Ivy League schools. I mean, like, that from preschool though? Like, I don't know. I guess like if they go to that preschool, they probably go to like a private, K through 12 school. So then, they would know that they go to an Ivy League. Um, so then, Wesley's just like, oh, and that's the selling point. He's like, the Ivy League is just a breeding ground for more entitlement. And the school dean, just feels like awkward. And he's like, well, I went to Harvard. So, what about it? Which I can see where Wesley's coming from, but I'm also like, didn't you go to like an Ivy League school and then law school to like, get your degree? So, um, but then, Angela like hurries up and finishes the Zoom call, pretending to have more like technical difficulties, and they get into a
Her
fight.
her impersonation of like the camera or the yeah, like the camera or the audio shorting out was absolutely perfect.
It
And
reminded
just
me of like when people like in old TV shows are like, "Oh, you're on the car phone. I'm going through a tunnel," and they just
yeah,
like cut out. Yeah.
it was just so funny.
And Angela's like, well, I really want to send Jack there, but Wesley's like, we need to make sure that it's a healthy environment. And so Angela's like, I gotta leave for work, just reschedule the rest of the interview. So later on in the episode, Wesley is sleeping, like all peacefully. Angela's clearly pissed, and she's just like banging drawers like shut just for the heck of it. And she's like, Franklin Crest emailed an enrollment is suddenly full for 2 years from now. And 2 years from now, would that make Jack a year? Or no, I guess like maybe still like shy of a year. Um, so then Wesley's like, well, if they're that sensitive to questions about their students, maybe Jack shouldn't go there and attend public school. I mean, okay, again, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but also like realize that, you should want the best for your kids. So then, Angela's like, well, you're shoving your privilege into your back pocket when you can use it for something good like the education of our child. And so she's like, public school can be great, but you also took away our options. And even if Jack did get into that school, like we might not have enrolled him, but you know, Wesley sabotaged him and ultimately made the decision without her. And so then, she's like, you did it because you have private school baggage. And Wesley's just like, well, maybe, he is afraid that their son will become the same poster boy for entitlement that he was. But, he realized that he didn't like himself and he set out to become the man that Angela loves. Um, I I don't know. I kind of disagree with Wesley here. Like maybe he would become that same poster boy, but also like he has two parents, like one that didn't come from that background, and then one that did. Like I'm sure that they would make sure that he didn't have the best of everything, to make it seem like, oh well, everything's not just handed to you. Um,
Yeah.
so then yeah, so like she's just disappointed that he didn't have more faith in them as parents. So he comes home and she's sitting on the couch with a glass of wine, like a whole mood. And Wesley's just like, I apologize to the dean, called to the school in Jackson. In 2 years he'll be enrolled in the Harvard of preschools, as he says. And so then Angela just brings up that they could send him to the new charter school that opened up. And she's like, I'm just joking with you, kind of. And Angela just wants every option available to their son when, it comes time to decide. So then she's like, but in order to avoid arguments like this in the future, I made up a parenting chart for us to fill out. And I thought that it was just going to be like a flow chart or something. Like she,
Even a Venn diagram.
yeah, like she pulled out like a whole, like, I mean, Wesley even said it. It was like a murder board.
And I didn't
And
realize it until he said it, and I was like, oh my God, that's it.
yep, yep. Like a case board, like going like, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so then, like she broke down everything into categories with a picture of baby Jack in the middle, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that we've seen that picture of him before,
Probably.
maybe. But then, she has it like broken down from screen time to discipline and nutrition, like it's all on
Yeah,
there.
she had education, financial
Yeah,
decisions,
yeah,
like just other things, like
everything.
everything.
Yeah. Um,
Discipline, for crying out loud.
but like I love their dynamic. Like he wants what's best for Jack, she does too. He doesn't necessarily want him to be like Wes, or he doesn't Wesley doesn't want Jack to be like him. Um and Angela just wants to provide the best. Like I love that while they do disagree, they always work it out and they do what's best. But like they also bring a little bit of their jobs into it too. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I know that this way like murder boarding works. So let's use this to decide. But I think that
Yeah.
they'll figure it out. Like there's a
Yeah.
good balance of okay, we want the best for him, we'll give him what he needs, but then also we want him to work for it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I can kind of see where Wesley's coming from a little bit. Like, I don't know. I did not go to a private school at all,
yeah.
but I went to like the what was seen as, like the super, top tier school system or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um and like literally people would just assume that everyone that went to that school was rich and had, parents
Yeah.
that were doctors and lawyers and all this stuff. And it's like, no, but just, I mean, yeah, because people like, there is just a certain like stigma that can come from
Mm-hmm.
certain places you get
Like the school
education from.
districts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same. Like we had a good school district, not the best, but we still had like a better one compared to others in the
Oh, we
area.
had people get into the Ivy Leagues
Yeah. Oh
like
yeah, we had
crazy.
that too. But like, I mean, people would think like, oh, you go to this school district, so like you must have like, the best and all that. And it's like not necessarily. I mean, even the
Yeah.
high schools in our district like rivaled each other. So, it's
See,
just
and I
how
only
it is.
had one high school in my district. So that's why it was so,
Oh.
yeah.
See,
Mm-hmm.
my high school was the last of the three to be built, and it was brand new. Like I opened it. I was the first
Mm-hmm.
class to go all 4 years. And
That's
so it was
nice.
kind of the school that was like, oh, like you're new, you're starting all of your traditions and all that. But then it was like we really had to like work our way up to be like, considered one of like the main three. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. We had, there were like 2,000 kids in my high school, I think.
Yeah.
graduating class of like 450 something. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, anyway. So I don't know, like, yeah, but like you said, I can see both sides. I just hopefully whenever the time does come, they'll like work it out, like
Mhm.
you said,
I
and
think
like
they will.
talk to each other more.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
They're always good about communicating, like not right in the moment when it's happening, but like after,
True.
you know.
Very true. So John and the union rep storyline. I liked that they started with what we saw in the promo, like Nyla and Lucy giving John the gift baskets and congratulating him. Um, Apparently the gift baskets were from the mayor's office. Um, I'm kind of surprised that Lucy didn't give him a gift herself because, like, you know, she's the best gift giver and like brought him a basket when he was in the hospital, you know, like
Mhm.
why didn't she give him a gift basket of her own? But anyway, I'm so here for like pregnant, glowing, extra happy Nyla. Um, yeah, and just like it's just so cool that like the rookies like working with Makia and like
Mhm.
writing it in and everything. Like that's so cool.
I love that
Um,
they weren't shying away from it, especially after having Angela be pregnant last year. Like, you know, they're
right.
not shying away from it. So,
Yeah, and it like allows her to play up the pregnancy part for her
mhm.
character. Um, and I'm sure that's fun for her to get to do. Um, but yeah, and Nyla's like, okay, I'm gonna go now, so you guys can deal with this long line. And the long line is of like half the station wanting to talk to John about their complaints. And of course, like there's just like this whole range. Like they go through a whole entire list of things, of varying degrees. Poor Nolan, his expression though, when he was sitting there and he was like hand on his chin, like trying to understand what everyone was saying.
Mhm.
Whole mood. Whole mood.
Yep.
Um
Especially on a Monday. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Um and of course Smitty comes up and sits down to let John know that he told everyone how Nolan was eager to listen to their problems. He's not wrong though. Like no one likes to like help people and you know have people talk about their problems with him. So um but yeah, and poor John is just like, I don't know how, like you just had this job yesterday. Like what have you been doing for 12 years? I didn't realize that Smitty had had that job for 12 years of union rep. Like that's nuts.
I feel like it was mentioned, but like also like what John had said, he had it for 12 years. What was he doing? Because obviously nothing or nothing
Exactly.
substantial was getting done.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is where like Smitty leaves and whatnot. This is where John first meets Landon Briggs, who's the union president, and John tries to rattle off his list of ideas with him, but Briggs brushes him off and is like, just enjoy this victory. Um, I kind of already knew from that exchange that he was going to be an adversary to Nolan. Um, yeah, I did like that they kept mentioning his union rep storyline throughout the episode, though, including when the councilwoman, Elena Gutierrez, called him up and um, we actually got to see well, we actually got to see the meeting that John set with her for later, and he was like really excited about it. Um, they met and he discussed the major changes he'd like to make, including the mental health initiative, because 20% of the service calls are mental health or substance use issues. And John's been thinking about a pilot program and wants to know if he can get an audience with the mayor. Because it'd be able to help both the police and the public, um, which is something they should do and what the pilot program would allow them to do. So, um, Elena, wants John to tell her more about the program. Apparently that meeting went well because the next time we see Briggs and Nolan, Landon is confronting John about the paper publishing that the council voted to move forward with the mental health initiative. But he's the union president and he didn't know about it, so that's a little awkward.
Yeah.
So of course he's mad. He takes it out on Nolan. Because it's not John's job to worry about the public. It's to make sure his, brothers and sisters in blue are taken care of first. But John disagrees. And so Briggs kind of essentially like threatens to end his career before it's barely even begun because he's like, you want to know what's the best thing about this job? Power. To help the people I like and hurt the people I don't. Like, that was so straightforward and worrisome.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. What I did like though was Nyla coming out so she and John could have like one more conversation. Because he was like, when I need Detective Happy Pants the most, I get yikes. And she's like, oh no, you don't need me for that. You're the most positive person I know. Like, truer words have never been spoken about John Nolan's character.
True, but it also doesn't hurt to have a little pep talk.
It's true.
But also, I feel like that was back to old Nyla Harper right there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Nyla also knows that he's not going to let Briggs get in his way. And John's like, you're right. He set out to bring change to the department, and that's what he said he'd do, so that's what he's going to do. I'm still bummed that we didn't actually see the election/voting scene happen. We were robbed of seeing Smitty's name reveal on the voting card, a la Eric's IG story from October, November, whenever they filmed it in the fall.
I mean, even just seeing like Smitty losing, like his reaction to Nolan winning, like that would have been the icing on the cake for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But nope.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was kind of it for the episode.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then at times I was like, can we just get back to Chenford? Like, I'm just, yeah. Like, it's Chenford's world and we're all just living in it at this point. Like, yeah. Yeah, so then we had some listener thoughts. We love hearing from you guys. And our friend M said would love to definitely hear your thoughts on Angela's parenting board. I definitely thought it was on brand for them. Like
I said, I didn't realize what it was at first until Wesley said it. So,
but I was like, this is so on brand for them. Like, if they're not debating as like their foreplay, they're definitely like creating murder boards and like trying to map out what's going on. And then Valerie had said this was about as perfect as an episode as you're gonna get. Everyone had something interesting to do, and nothing felt rushed or incomplete. Gray even got a story. Pregnant Nyla is amazing, and they could really do a lot with Nolan as the union rep. She said the Chenford date was even better than she expected, and she's starting to like Chris. He would be a good addition. She also said, I was so hoping that that last Ashley and Tim scene was going to be a breakup, but I guess you can't have everything. Yeah. I thought for sure that it would be a breakup scene. But,
like I said, I thought one of them was going to be, but
yeah.
So Ricarda said the Chenford date is on her list of favorite Chenford scenes.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to see the goat scene. Yeah,
Yes.
same. Like, can we? That would have been so good. doesn't quite understand the Tim and Ashley relationship. Like, seems like he wants to change for her, and she still wants to be with him after she just witnessed Chenford like firsthand. They're a little offended that Tim said that Lucy isn't his partner. Just hope that he downplayed it in front of Ashley and that he didn't really mean it. Yeah, I totally didn't mention that, I don't think, when I talked about it in my thing. Or no,
Yeah.
when you talked about it, sorry.
You had just mentioned that like he said that she
Yeah.
isn't his partner. Well, then what the heck is she?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, that's what I thought. I had posted a thing on my Tumblr, but like my brief summary of what I said was that I do think Tim was just downplaying it for Ashley, and I think that he knows how important Lucy is. It's just,
I mean, Lucy helps him like not get hurt on the job.
Yeah. Well, because he had already messed up the date, and so it's like him harping on that would have just made it more obvious, and I don't think he's ready to confront exactly how important she is and like what that actually means. So, but anyway, Ricarda enjoyed seeing Gray in the field. Cheerful Harper, goodness, I can't speak, is a little scary.
I mean,
Oh dear.
kind of, but I'm also like, I high key love it.
Yeah,
like,
I'm here
give me
for
more
it.
of it.
Yeah. And Jack has the best parents he can ask for. So
He
true.
does. And like, when can we see him? Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was like hoping a little bit for like an updated picture of him because I swear we've seen that picture.
Maybe
Like
so.
when Angela went back to work, maybe we did it, but it looked familiar. So, Emily had said this episode is one of the best in her opinion. And she said Nyla's cheerful lines were the best. They seemed to get way more chaotic as the minutes passed. She asked which one our favorite was. What's your favorite Nyla line?
Oh God. No, see, it has to. I can't not say the one where Gray was like, "Seriously, how long are you gonna be like this?" So, the one where she was like, "You didn't foresee, being paired with the best officer." Yeah, that one.
I think mine is a tie between thank you so much for calling and God, I just love this job. Like it was the way that her voice changed in it.
Yeah.
I just loved
Mine
it.
was just, mine still is Gray if I had to pick one, but just honest to God, just Nolan being like, maybe I should drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Like she didn't even hesitate. She was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And then Emily loved the Nolan Union delegate storyline. She said it felt very reminiscent of his early days. And it has roots there of him being the moral center with his passion to make things better with like no matter the pushback. And she said she's living for his continued rivalry with Smitty. Same. Like I hope that Smitty kind of continues to push back or like tries to give him pointers and John's like respectfully no. Like I'm not taking those. And then Emily said I may be the only one who caught this, but when Officer Jansen spoke, like she said correct me if I'm wrong, but his character has never spoken and he's been there since the pilot. I don't know. I was like kind of caught off guard with that scene because I was just focusing on like what had happened before. So I would have to like go back and watch it for the third time. But I mean that's probably true. Like, it seems like the only recurring like other patrol officer that they're using is Officer Webb, and he was in this episode. So I don't know, maybe Jansen is just like a background actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then she also said Chenford was just pure feel good. I'm also really enjoying this stage in their journey. And yeah, she said, I always have lots more to say, but I'll leave it to a later and longer post. So we love Emily. But yeah, yeah, Chenford was just like pure feel good. I'm excited to see where it goes with Chris and Lucy, and then like, is Tim gonna get jealous? And Ashley's like, all right, that's it. I'm not gonna sit here and compete for this.
Yeah.
That's how I can kind of see it going.
Yeah.
So
Or like Tim talking about Lucy. She's not even there.
yes. Yep. I feel like he's probably already done that. And Ashley's just like, I mean, at this point, like, I'm just with him because he's good looking. Yeah. You're welcome. So,
Oh
yeah.
dear. Yeah. Lydia loved this episode. It was well balanced with the main cast having good storylines. She thought Gray going out in the field with the Italian detective was cool. Too bad he turned out to be a dirty cop. Yeah. I was kind of like excited for Gray to have like a friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. Bad friend.
Gray never gets like good, just wholesome storylines.
Yeah.
But I guess that's also like because it's a cop show. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Chenford, she actually felt really bad for Ashley during that double date. Kind of hoped Ashley would be more jealous in the end scene. And that scene in the morgue where Tim and Lucy discuss options was amazing. It reminded her so much of their season 2 dynamic.
Yes.
So true. There was no, okay. So I was not the only person that thought this because people on Twitter were also saying this, but like, honest to God, if they were actually dating there, I swear to God, they would have just like kissed in that moment.
Yeah.
Because like they both looked at, well, Lucy looked up at him, he looked down at her. Like, if it was like an actual like life or death, like, not that it wasn't high stakes, but just like, you know, just, oh my God, it just would have been like perfect moment to do something.
I feel like I saw someone say, like, I wish that they would have kissed as like a be safe moment or something like that.
Yeah, if they were dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they were canon. Yeah. But yeah, same. It was just, there was just no need for me to be like so excited over that like minute scene of them just like staring at the body cam footage, but I was.
I feel like season 4 has had like some definite key moments that like season 2 had. Yeah.
Definitely. Smiling and crying Nyla was funny. And yeah, she was absolutely hilarious and fantastic.
I need more of it.
Yeah. And Nolan can do so much good as union rep. Yes, hopefully. I swear, if he loses that job, oh God, what if he loses the job and Smitty is back, like as union rep?
And no one's like, I can't believe I lost it to him.
Oh God.
I mean, that's some comedy right there.
Yeah. Oh, and then will Ashley leave soon.
People were like comparing like Chris and Lucy's like body language and stance versus Tim and Ashley's, and I was like, yeah, you can definitely tell that
they were standing so far apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I don't know. Of course, I noticed though they both had like backpacks.
Yeah.
Or like things that they needed to hold onto their shoulders a bit more.
They looked like they were matching to me too.
Yeah, they kind of did. So I don't know if that was just because like Tim usually, I mean, he's not like the hugest like gesturer when it comes to like conversation. Like he's not super animated with his hands, but just like usually he does something.
Yes.
And so I don't know if like he was holding the bag, if like that did it. I'm like literally doing these motions as if people are going to see what I'm doing. No one's gonna see this. Goodness. So I don't know if that's it or
Mhm.
I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming we're gonna see more of Ashley.
I feel
I
like
don't
we
know
are.
though.
I thought that Helena had just posted on social media that she was like back on set, but
Oh,
I
really?
could very well be wrong. Yeah.
I know Jenna Dewan did, but I don't know about Helena. I did not.
Let's see. So on November 30th, she had said car scenes in the desert today. I don't know if it was for the rookie, but like Eric had liked it. So
Oh,
I
that
don't
was
know.
like way back when though. That was
Like November 30th. But then it
yeah.
also like she's filming other stuff too, so I don't fully know.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that Chelsea fan on Twitter had just said, why didn't they give us the conversation we needed? The I think you liked him and I think you love Lucy conversation. Like from Chris and Ashley. She said, I'm
Oh.
exhausted. I mean, okay, listen, I love me a good slow burn. It sucks, but like I love it. Like
I'm
just
used to it.
yeah. But also like the desire that I just want them to like kiss each other and like get it done. But I also don't because usually when they give it to you too fast, it doesn't work out well. So
Yeah. I'm
and
used to waiting
Chenford is
like 4
engaged.
seasons for a ship to get their shit together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not too worried about it.
The longer the better it is, but also like just they're already so loud with how much they love each other. So yeah.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah.
Bonnie said Ashley wanting to seemingly mold Tim into someone she wants and force him to change. Oh. Um,
I
I
feel like
mean,
that's kind of common though in relationships. Like you always kind of
yeah.
want the other person to like give more than take,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I mean, I guess just with how like everything was, like, I mean, I thought she was, I mean, because she said she was flexible, so hopefully she stays true to that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, sorry, I have to scroll. Um, Chris Lucy. Oh, okay, so people are also calling them Chris Lucy. Okay. I don't know if anyone can like confirm what their actual ship name is.
I don't think there is one. They're kind of
That would
just
be
like a
lovely.
fling so far.
Well, if it's out there, let me know.
Yes. Yep.
Tweet me, please. I want to know. They're
It took
adorable.
you like only a little bit to jump on board. Last episode, you were like, "Nope, I don't see it." Next
I
episode,
know,
you're
and he
like,
didn't
"I'm on
really
board."
apologize though.
No,
Damn, I
but
just
like,
realized that though. He didn't really apologize for being a complete jerk.
they're just so much alike.
It's
Like,
honestly, yeah, it's honestly just because they both do geek out over things that I too geek out about. And so I was like here for that and can
okay,
appreciate that.
I just thought, okay, so Chris was like, I'm not that much of an adventurous eater either. And, Tim wasn't. Okay, but like you never heard Chris complain about the food on the date, did you?
That's so true. No.
No, you did not.
No, you
Well,
didn't.
because Chris like couldn't get a word in.
That's so true.
He was like,
God.
I like the Dodgers too. And they were just like,
Yeah.
okay,
I can
cool.
only imagine what that script looked like. Just like paragraph, like on Tim, cut to
Yeah,
Lucy, go back on Tim.
probably. I mean,
Like pause, interject Chris here.
I can even see like the actors being like, why are we here?
Yeah. Or like I have a short day today. I have one line and then I get to
Yeah.
go home.
Yep.
Um totally kidding. Although I wonder if there is like any behind the scenes at all. That'd be so fun to see.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
See, and I lost my place. Gosh
Chris and
darn it.
Lucy. Chris and Lucy is just some
Okay.
adorable stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, they're adorable for a stop along the way. Last night's episode really brought me around, and then yep, same. Lucy deserves someone who will be good to her while Tim sorts all of this out. Yep.
Yeah.
So true. Oh man, people are like really like wondering why Ashley is like
Still around.
yeah, goodness. Because she literally witnessed Chenford firsthand. Yeah.
I
She
think it
also
would be
wasn't
very obvious though, like if she broke it off with Tim this episode. Like I can
Yeah.
see her waiting a few episodes before she breaks it off with him.
She also wasn't as understanding as Chris. Oh. I guess I didn't really see it that way. I mean, I don't know, like her saying that she's flexible and then being like, well, life can't always. I mean, yeah, I guess she wasn't really seeing it from Tim's side of like why he needed comfort. But then again, though, if Lucy hadn't accidentally like come across like some of Tim's past, like it would have taken him a while to open up. So I think it just takes him a while to open up. So if
Yeah.
he doesn't share, she can't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she could try to see it from his side a little more. Oh my gosh, people are so like cheerful. Harper scares me a bit. Oh man, we're just here for it though. Like
Yeah. Because I know it's not gonna last. So I'm like, I will take it as I get it. I mean,
yeah, you're just like, I'm here for it.
I love sassy Nyla too, but like I'm here for happy Nyla too.
Yeah. The double date was everything, and the morgue takedown for Chenford really gave me the old days of Chenford, like those kind of vibes. Yep. It was so well balanced too. Yeah. Everyone got screen time. Yeah, they
Everyone's
did.
like in agreement on that, and
They
mean,
literally did though.
Yeah.
Like literally everyone.
I mean, they even cut a scene. They cut up the Chenford date to like throw in a Nolan scene, which was nice to see. I kind of wish that we had just seen the entirety of the Chenford date like in one, but it's fine.
Yeah.
So then Janine had said the opening scene, Tim and Lucy at the beach and running into Ashley, since she had made the call, she said, was it just me or did Lucy cringe when Ashley appeared? I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either.
But then she also said, and Ash saying hottest cop, please, and Tim boasting to Lucy. Really? Like she needed to be told? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't needed. So then so she said the first scene with Chris and Lucy was cute and flirty, and of course Tim had to call her out on it. But you know, like how she wanted to rip his head off last episode, and now like this week he said like, are you all sweet on him? And Lucy's like, did we just go back into the 50s? Okay. And Janine said that's subtle jealousy right there. And she said when it comes like down and you know Tim asks her to double date with friends, you know, like Lucy basically says, you know, it's because he can't try new things and all that. But Janine's question is if Sanford wasn't strolling by, would Tim have just said like, don't worry, it can just be the three of us? Or would he have still found someone? I don't think he would have wanted Lucy to be awkward. I think it was a good idea that he had asked Chris or whoever else would have, you know, he would have found.
Honestly, but I also I could kind of see it because Tim would probably be thinking, oh, poor Lucy's going to be awkward. Then Ashley, God bless her, would be the awkward one because Lucy is just going to be looking at Tim the whole time. Yeah. And Tim's just going to be paying attention to her the whole time. Like, so.
Yeah. But then Janine had said the date. Oh my God, I know you guys touched on this when we saw the preview, but they should not have been next to each other. I feel like at one point they were so turned to one another that they forgot Chris and Ashley were there.
No, literally Tim's whole entire body was turned towards Lucy by the time dessert came.
I mean, okay, I even saw it like when they first like cut to the date and like Tim had like kind of looked over and smiled at Lucy and I was like, unless he's just like looking around, like he definitely just like stole a glance at her.
The man is in
yeah.
love. He just doesn't know it yet.
Okay, but like if it was just Ashley, Tim, and Lucy, Ashley would have definitely gotten up and like just would have disappeared. They would have never even known. I bet. Like if it was just those three, it definitely would have happened.
Yeah.
And then Janine also said, Gerald the go. I can see these two on a real date in my head so clearly because last night it seemed like it was. She said she could see Tim was hurting loose Ashley when she got up to go to the restroom. Insert Lucy smirk. She loved that. I didn't even catch the smirk.
I didn't either. I just caught that Lucy put the coconut dessert thing, like popped that in her mouth, and then was
Yeah.
like, "Wow." I don't
Um,
know. It was more like awkward. I thought. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know.
I didn't catch it, but
I thought when Ashley got up, she was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna leave because clearly I'm not needed here or something. But yeah. And so then she, Janine says like the next day at the morgue, like getting like he was close to her, standing to show her the footage and stuff. And she says, but here's the part I'm concerned with. The idea to shine the flashlight into the suspect's eyes and Lucy crawl on the ground. Like, what if she got hit because he had like just started shooting?
yeah. Well, you could see like she like backed away for like ducked a little bit lower
Yeah.
at one point too.
And then Janine said, I know Lucy's a badass and could get the job done though. It reminded her of 201 with the fake cops. And they had each other's back, and I know Tim wouldn't let anything happen to her. Yeah.
True.
And then Janine said that the end scene had her like conflicted for both of the couples. Chris like waiting for Lucy to let her know that like he wasn't feeling the date. And their first date shouldn't be a double date. And then, like Lucy's response is honest. She thought it was a cute scene. I did too. I thought it was really cute how like Lucy got all excited. And then she said the other half was Tim and Ashley, and she just said like, oh my God, that was Tim did apologize, but she thinks that Tim is lying to himself in a way, and he doesn't know what to think about his feelings for Lucy. So he's just like referring to himself as her sergeant, because it's just easier to, face. Janine also pointed out that another person on Twitter says he knows what he's doing by like saying that. But Janine's just like, I think he's just trying like hard to make the relationship work. Which, yeah, I agree. Like he's gonna say anything to like ease Ashley's worries and thoughts. So yeah. And then she said, personally, I'm just glad that Lucy didn't hear that because it definitely would have hurt her. After all they've been through. I think so. Yeah. I think it's good that Tim didn't see Chris and Lucy walk out together, even though I kind of was hoping that. And then it's also good that Lucy didn't hear Tim say that about like, she's not his partner. And I kind of wonder because Eric had hinted at it in cameos that, like Chenford is going to have like a separation period. I wonder if he was saying like, oh, she's not my partner, thinking that like tomorrow he's going to make it like he's going to switch aides.
Rude.
Like kind
But
of like
possibly.
telling himself ahead of time, like, oh, I need to fix this before it gets worse or something,
Yeah.
Um,
I don't like it, but I could see it.
yeah, I don't either. And so then Janine said that partially it brings her back to when Rachel said to Lucy, like, your partner. And she corrected her saying, no, or wait, partially. Yeah. Okay. When Rachel said, it's Lucy, your partner, and he corrected her saying, no, she's just my boot. But Janine also said that she could be reading too much into it. I don't know. I feel like Tim's just trying to like just decompress the situation. I don't know. That's not really the right word, but like put out the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of throwing Ashley off. Janine also said that she's happy for John with the union delegate, and she likes what he's trying to do, but that guy that's the head of the union is definitely going to make things messy. She also said that pregnant Nyla is great. And her two best lines are when Gray says to her, like, how much longer are you going to be like this? And when she's in the shop and Angela calls them on the radio, and she thanks them for the call. And then her last bullet point was, that Wopez are the cutest parents, and Wesley at the end realizing that Angela never had the like availability to go to anything other than like public school. Like him realizing that and then just, wanting to make sure that her thoughts are heard too is important. And it made Wesley change his thinking. But yeah, that's about it for listener thoughts. So you guys can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jstark804.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And that's it for us. We'll be back next week with a recap of 413, and just seeing where the rookie takes us.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Go get him, boo.